Hello, and welcome to our in-service today about becoming more familiar with the latest changes to FERPA. FERPA, or the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, is a federal law that protects the privacy of students' educational records. Recently, there have been some changes to FERPA that are important for students, parents, and educators to be aware of. As noted by iCite.com, it's the job of every school employee to learn, understand, and comply with FERPA. That's why we're ensuring that you know what data exists in an educational record and who has the rights to view records and what are the limits for sharing data. Under FERPA, students have the right to access their own educational records and the right to request that their records be corrected if they contain inaccurate information, misleading information, or if they're believed to be in violation of their privacy rights. Students also have the right to control who sees their educational records. Schools cannot release personally identifiable information from these records without written consent, except in certain limited circumstances, such as health and safety emergencies. What responsibilities do schools have under FERPA? Schools have the responsibility to protect the privacy of students' educational records and to provide students with access to their records when requested. Schools must also obtain written consent from students or their parents before releasing any educational records to a third party, except in limited circumstances. FERPA protects a wide range of educational records, including grades, transcripts, disciplinary records, and financial aid records. It also protects any other records that contain personally identifiable information about a student. The latest changes to FERPA include updates to the definitions of terms like educational records and personally identifiable information, as well as changes to the rules around when schools can disclose information without obtaining written consent. The definition of educational records has been updated to include information that schools store in third-party applications such as Google Drive or Microsoft Teams. This means that schools need to be careful about what they store in these applications and ensure that they comply with FERPA. FERPA's definition of personally identifiable information is any information that can be used to identify a student, either alone or in combination with other information. This includes, but is not limited to, a student's name, address, social security number, student identification number, or other identifying number or code. As noted, the definition has been expanded to include biometric data, such as fingerprints or facial recognition data, as well as information that can be used to identify a student based on their network address or device identifier. So what are the new disclosure rules under FERPA? The new disclosure rules under FERPA allow schools to disclose certain information without obtaining written consent. For example, schools can now disclose information about a student's disciplinary history to another school if the student is transferring, and they can disclose information to parents of students who are under the age of 21 in certain circumstances. The changes to FERPA have implications for students, parents, and educators alike. Schools need to be aware of the updated definitions of educational records and personally identifiable information and ensure that they are complying with FERPA. As Erin Cunningham notes in EdTech magazine, school leaders must ensure that their third-party vendors have appropriate safeguards in place and that contracts hold these vendors liable if something goes wrong. In today's world of rapid technological advances, it's important to implement new tools and technologies responsibly to ensure privacy of students' educational records. Students and parents need to understand their rights and be aware of what information schools can disclose without their written consent. The changes to FERPA are important because they impact the privacy and security of students' educational records. By being aware of the changes and understanding their rights under FERPA, students, parents, and educators can work together to ensure that students' information is protected and kept confidential. Schools that violate FERPA can face serious consequences, including loss of funding and legal action. Examples of FERPA violations include, but are not limited to, emailing protected student information to everyone in a class, including social security numbers on shared documents, posting grades and identifying information in public, or publicly disclosing a student-athlete's academic status. According to Betsy Forsman, writer for EdScoop, in the context of a school safety situation, FERPA makes an exception to its restrictions on data sharing should knowledge of such information be necessary to protect the health or safety of students or other persons in connection with an emergency. Students or their parents can file a complaint with the U.S. Department of Education if they believe their rights under FERPA have been violated. For more information about FERPA, or about how you and your school can remain FERPA compliant under the changes, visit the U.S. Department of Education's website or contact the Topeka Public Schools Affairs Office. Thank you so much for attending this in-service. Have a great day!